grew up in a large family.
Oh, sorry. So hi everyone. Thanks again for joining the podcast of Doers Within Us. I'm here with Jamila Mayanja, CEO of Smart Girls Uganda, and this is part of our series of profiling the builders for Africa's future with the African Diaspora Network. And so she's the second entrepreneur of profiling, and I'm excited to have her here. So she was excited to get right into it. So I'm gonna give Jamila the floor to just start with a brief introduction about herself. So Jamila, the floor is yours, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm Jamila Mayanja, as you said. I'm the founder and team leader at Smart Girls Uganda, a social enterprise that I run in Uganda, but also scaling to South Africa. We mostly into girls and women empowerment to keep them economically sustainable and live a healthy life so that they can also give back and transform the communities they come from.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you just take us back to like how everything started? I mean, just give us a background of where you grew up. As I mentioned before we started recording the podcast, I've been to Barara, Western Province. I've not been to anywhere else. But I know Uganda is a large and beautiful country with great music and great food. Great people. If you don't mind sharing like just your upbringing and what led you to who you are today, just an amazing entrepreneur and someone who wants to make a difference with women empowerment.
So I grew up in a very large family. I am my dad was a Muslim who had 4 wives and 14 children. I am in the middle, around the 7th, I would say. So I born in Kampala, raised in Kampala, studied in Kampala, went to my primary, it was like a mixed school, and secondary, I went to an all-girls school, where I think my inspiration into girls and empowerment started from there in Abisunsa, where I was on the cabinet of every club, and I also started a club. So in primary, I was bullied so much because I grew up faster than my peers, started my menstruation periods earlier. So my primary was a bit hard, though I went through a lot of menstrual bullying. But when I went to Nabisunsa, the all-girls school, it was like more of my safe space. So it grew my self-esteem. I was in all these clubs trying to help out girls, as in the Peace Club, the Debate Club, the Drama Club. I started a Red Ribbon Club. So I think my inspiration to start Smart Girls came from my secondary life. So, but when I went to my campus, early on campus, I lost my dad in first year. I was in the Makerere University Business School, and I was doing business administration. So when I lost my dad, somehow I got out of my comfort zone because he was our everything. He gave us everything, literally. So I went on to getting a job when I was in my second year, first semester, so that I could help my mother out with some of the fees at home and food. So my inspiration for girls started in high school, but my working spirit started at campus, mostly because of losing my dad. So I just walked into this company and told them I can do whatever they were doing, and I could learn it in a minute. And yeah, I did that. They taught me what they were doing. It was an SMS-based company. So that grew my resilience, my confidence, my hunger to try and be an entrepreneur. The gentleman who hired me at that time, I saw him grow the company that I was working with him. I started as a salesperson, worked at the reception, worked in IT. So he grew my capacity, I would say, even before I finished my campus. So when I finished my campus, but during the time when I was working, I used to volunteer a lot in organizations, and I noticed I would always drift into women empowerment roles. So after I left campus, I was at my workplace. That time I'd even been developed to a marketing manager, but it wasn't enough. So I decided to quit, which made my mother run mad. She was like, you know, African mothers, you're leaving all this highly paying job to do what? Like, I'm going to try and work out something for myself to empower women and girls. It's like, what? With what money? I'm like, I'll work it out. So yeah, so that's how I, 2013, because I graduated in 2011. And 2013, that's when I officially started the dream to try and achieve and start Smart Girls, which I officially later registered in 2015. Yeah.
That's such a powerful story, and just thanks for walking us down the memory lane. I think one thing that I just want to, when you told when actually you decide to quit this good job, and that perhaps had given you the foundation of, you know, maybe business, the business skills that, you know, perhaps you're applying now at Smart Girls. When you quit and you had to discuss, can you give us that transition period? What was it like? What did you hello? Okay.
Oh, okay. So as answering your question, how the transition was so hard. First of all, because people did, like, for example, the person who was very close to, like, my mom didn't really support it, because she really didn't understand how I was living this highly paid, and I had just literally been promoted to marketing manager, and she thought I was going bogus, like I was going crazy. How you actually leave, you've been working, like the job had really groomed me. And I had reached like the maximum of my career as a marketeer at a really young age. I had just left my university, and I was already a marketing manager of a fully grown SMS company. So most of my close people thought I was crazy. So I didn't have really a support system when I was trying to start Smart Girls. It's of recently, years later, that my mom is actually understanding the work that I'm doing in Smart Girls. Yes. So because she really didn't support it. And also fund savings, you've saved some little money, but eventually they start, money doesn't grow back. Like, you can't take it off and then it comes back. You really need to work hard. So it was hard, because there's a time where my savings ran out, absolutely. And I think it also led to, I had just gotten married. So I think it also, and when I had gotten married, that's when I also quit my job. So somehow it also affected my marriage. So later on, like a few years down the road, I got divorced. So somehow it was not easy. So sometimes the decision you make come with issues. But Smart Girls growth has been quite humbling for me. For me, it was worth it in every second. I won't lie, there was a time I said, let me go back to my former boss and ask for a job. And she even, because she later became my partner, and she admitted that for the past 2 years, she waited for me to actually go back and ask for my job. But I kept on, whenever I would reach at that gate, I'm like, no, let me go back. So yeah, it was really a hassle, but yeah, it was worth it.
No, thanks so much, Jamila, for being very vulnerable and sharing very personal stories, right? I think this is something that people don't really understand, the sacrifices. One of your colleagues yesterday said, one of the things that you have to really consider as an advisor to entrepreneurs is that you have to be willing to pay the cost of being an entrepreneur. And also,
yeah,
and it's so true, right? And I was like, yes, the cost, you guys don't even know how high it is, self-doubt, doubts from parents, this emotional cost that comes with all of this. And for you sharing that and you being here today sharing this story is truly inspiring. You're a strong person. Thanks so much
I believe so too.
for what you're doing. So can we just talk a little bit about so you started Smart Girls, you said 2013, right? Or 2014, 2013.
Yeah.
How was it like? I mean, can you just walk us through the process of how you registered the company? I know I've been to some Kampala offices, to just register. I helped a company in Uganda, and man, like you go there and you say the guys in has flown abroad. I'm like, we made an appointment, 2 weeks ago.
That is so true.
Documents and stuff. If you mind just sharing with us how was it like registering the company? People get that.
Because first of all, I'm not really like a fully profit-making company. So that's why it was hard and it took me time. That's when I ended up registering it. I started the idea in around 2012, 2013. I ended up registering in 2015 because I didn't want to really register profit sharing company. I had just started learning about the idea of social entrepreneurship. So I was very fascinated by social entrepreneurship. And here in Uganda, even to date, they still know yet how to register a social enterprise in Uganda. So, and even just with the process of just registering a basic company is really hard. So imagine you're coming up with an idea that has not yet been set up in the law here in Uganda. So it took me some really good time to figure out how I could be able to really register a social enterprise in Uganda. But later on, after doing a lot of research with the lawyers, I ended up first registering it as a company, not for profit, and also still have a profit arm. So it took, for me, it wasn't even the dilemma of the issue, the fees, the getting the appointments and everything. It was around the fact that I needed another ID. I had another idea of what I wanted. And yet it wasn't yet there in the law. So that's why it took me some quite time, which later was hard, but finally I figured how to work with their system so that it can benefit my system. Yeah.
That is fair. So you were like a trailblazer. You had to set the definition of what it means, or the rules, perhaps, kind of the guidelines, how to launch something like this. Oh man, what a tough.
Yeah, that's true. And I still do that. Even you see some of the products I innovate with the young girls here, like even having them certified right now. So the certification body here right now for one of the bags that we make here, the solar bag, we are working with the government, the certifying body with the government to try and get our own certification because they didn't have them. I like being different and I like challenging status quo. So it's exciting, it can be a stress, but for me, it's really exciting to try and introduce something new and really challenge people is thinking of what has been traditional and what can be different. Yeah.
You are very different. I can tell you're different. You're very different. Can you just so now you have figured out a way to establish a company? I know that's one of the barriers you had to perhaps go through. Can you just tell us about how you brought the team together, how you started having some of people involved in Smart Girls, partners, some of the clients, if I say that you are working with, just at the beginning phases, how was it like putting everything together, and how are things now? Don't mind.
The story is so huge, but I'm going to try and cut it because it's so long.
Please share.
Because we are launching Smart Girls, I started with a father-daughter dance, a fundraiser event. Because the mandate when I started Smart Girls, I wanted to do two things: to try and help girls managing their menstrual hygiene so that they stay in school, and also economic empowerment. So I started with two things. I first started with a fundraising event because I didn't have money. My savings were out. So I wanted to use the event to try and have fathers and daughters have fun, but also help them bridge their gap. So while making money from them. So I did that for 3 years, which was quite successful. but it's quite stressful organizing events because there's a lot of advertising and everything. And it's that money that helped me register Smart Girls later on, but later on also helped me launch another As-If product. So I'm doing like a give back for the girls. So I was able to mobilize funds through the event to be able to mobilize, make reusable pads that I was giving out at that time to young girls, but also I started now another like franchise called a Jamila that was under Smart Girls, where I would go into rural areas and hire girls in doing a door-to-door laundry servicing. And later I would give them entrepreneur and employable skills training. So those two things are really a part of the history of Smart Girls because they've led to what I'm doing right now, that led to the stamp of the exact things that we're doing right now. And I still always remind the first clients I go to the first father-daughter dance and tell them, you led to my success of what Smart Girls is. Because ideally, they were giving me startup capital while they were having fun, yeah? So, but later on, those two things led me to travel, being noticed by the US Embassy, and I ended up traveling for the, it's called the Mandela Washington Fellowship for Young African Leaders in 2015. And I went to Dartmouth University. So while there, I learned about human-centered design, that is design thinking. So that now changed it changed my life. And while I was there too, during their presidential summit, I was recognized by President Barack Obama for the work I was doing at the Jamila, where I was getting young women into work and getting them entrepreneurial opportunities. Now that became like a kickstart for my brand as Jamila Mayanja, but also starting now to the world seeing the work that I'm doing. People appreciated how different I was trying to get mostly because that time the women assigned to Jamila were mostly sex workers, drug users, survivors of gender-based violence. And it grew so fast from 30 ladies to 50. So fast forward, when I left the fellowship, I come back. I was so happy and everything. I was ready to get into human-centered design. I noticed though, while registering, implementing human-centered design in the program I was doing for the laundry service, and I noticed that why I wasn't having a retention after the whole cycle. When the girls would get out of the cycle to go and start their own jobs, they would not stick to the jobs. So, so later on, that graduated because they'll start up the same jobs. They'll start up market stalls, they'll start up boutiques. So that challenged me. And while I was watching some animation, it's called Utopia. I was challenged to start thinking, how different can I give economical empowerment to women, but make them believe that they can do much more than what society believes they should do. So that's how our main idea that now we are mostly doing in Smart Girls, called the Girls with Tools, was born. So now the Girls with Tools Training Center that we do, that is our biggest economical empowerment and also mostly our cash money, but also still our biggest empowerment. We use it now. The women that are splitting the laundry, I close that. I challenge them to come and learn skill sets that were male dominated, that was STEM non-traditional skill sets. That's why I call it Girls with Tools, where I train them in mechanical engineering, construction, woodworks, metalworks, big truck driving, electrical engineering, so that after the training, I would group them into groups of teams and help them launch their own workshops. So trying to challenge their thinking and making them believe that you can do much better than, even if you've not studied, you can still do these skill sets. So you see how the cycle that it came in.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
There's something the father-daughter done with the human-centered design. I'm able to, I don't know if you see behind me, I innovated something called a solar smart bag. It's just behind.
Wow.
So, but it also came out of the fact that when we used to give out reusable pads after the event, we noticed still that girls were not staying in school. So it multiplied. So the journey has been so long from when I started, and it comes from I'm not afraid to try out something. And even if it fails, I learn from it and then sit down and see how I could refine it, make it social entrepreneur. Like it's still bringing money, sustainable, but also helping the young women and girls that I'm trying to help. So yeah.
That is truly inspiring. And I think I love like how everything the pieces came back, the pieces fell in the right place, and father-daughter back to empowering women to get into this traditionally male-dominated roles, and the definition of smart girls, and how you can align that with very invaluable skills that can really help move the society forward. But also, we need women to get into in these spaces, right? Because yeah, exactly. And if you can just share a little bit, what was did you see something somewhere and say, you know what, a woman can do this better? Someone do something like a construction project that someone did, and like, a woman can do this better, or an engineering, an electrical engineering project that you were like, I know some women that can do this better. Was there any trigger, or was it just something that, intrinsically you knew, like, okay, this is something that can be done better?
Yeah. I always have a story for what I'm doing. Yeah. So, in 2015, when I came back from the fellowship, in 2017, I got pregnant, like 2016, I got pregnant. Then I was using Uber a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was with this Uber gentleman, and his car fails. And his dad had a mechanical garage. So, and we're doing like training some young people. And then he calls one of the guys that were training to come through. And but before getting to that car for Uber, I had just watched animation called Zootopia. I love to watch animations because they're quite inspiring. And there's this small bunny that wanted to be a policewoman. So throughout when he was picking me up, I was very inspired by this young small bunny that wanted to be a policewoman, and she was competing with elephants. So it was amazing. So in this situation, this Uber guy who I would use often, because I started using him off the app, I would call him. He calls this young gentleman to come and actually work on the car. And then when he gets to the car, he couldn't do anything. So he was so dirty, he was smelling, he was so messy, and I was so late. So I kept on telling him, if a woman was doing this job, they would come when they were so clean, they would come so prepared with their toolbox, they would come and very detailed. Actually, he was all over the place. Oh, this is dead. Oh, this is dead. So, because of our nature being women, there's a way our nature organizes us, so would come really organized. So that's how somehow it kept at the back of my head, because I told him. So later on, he comes and tells me, oh, by the way, my dad owns where that guy comes from, and we want to attract more amazing people. I read about that you're a marketing manager somewhere. Can you come and market my garage? And I'm like, no, you can't afford me. But can we partner and I try and do an experiment where we could get some of my girls as training in another program to come and inspire them to do mechanics. And we did it with 5 girls. And within like 3 weeks, they had gotten the basics. And then within those weeks, they had attracted attention in the community. Within those weeks, they had attracted other 30 ladies. It was amazing. It was like, and now my entrepreneur bob was kept on going up and up. So that's how it all came and built. So yeah, that's how it all worked out. That's how the Girls with Tools that now we have under Smart Girls was born from, just that story.
That's amazing. I knew there was a story. There was a story behind it. But look at you. I mean, you started off, quitting this high-paying job, end up at the Mandela Washington, I think the Mandela Washington Fellowship, being recognized by Barack Obama, and doing this incredible stuff. And I think what is really amazing, and I think one of the reasons why I do this profile is that, one, I want to capture behind the scenes stories that and bring to life, because once you share them yourself, people get to really there's some human-centered design that comes with it, right?
Yeah.
We can just read it from a biography somewhere on the website, but we get to experience who the person is. But more importantly, there is this values, in life that it strengthens you and gives the fortitude to keep building. But it also gives you a purpose of why you're doing this, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So the highlights that you get to being recognized by Black women and all that, it stems from all these values that you were able to overcome, right? And you sharing that, it really inspires me. And I think that's why I love just hearing stories like this, because I'm like,
yeah,
there's future hope in Africa. So now smart girls, girls with tools, is rising and is doing some great work in Uganda. You say you're doing some stuff in South Africa, right? Can you share a little bit about your work in South Africa with smart girls?
So the Girls with Tools really grew, and while I was doing it, we grew from the girls in mechanics, where we added other courses. We have a full training center, but then at the back of my head, there was still something missing that I used to do during the first event I used to do. The usable pads I used to give out for young girls to stay in school, yeah? And I went back, still did research and not trying to find out if the girls I had helped back then were actually staying in school. And the percentage was still not staying in school. So that's when I sat, I found out why, because by the time you're giving this girl a reusable pad, and some even we sell, the ones we give out for free do not have even as simple as a bag to carry to school, to where they could keep these reusable pads. And by the fact it's reusable, they have to change it 3 times a day. Then maybe they have gone to the rural school, it doesn't have access to wash facilities. So that there was an inconvenience, a percentage of girls who were inconvenienced by using these reusable pads. Yep. So as much as they're actually helping, but there was a small percentage. So I wanted to close that gap. Yep. So that's how I innovated the smart bag. So the smart bag, with my team, we really wanted to create a bag that was a school bag, but also has a component where the girls could be able to carry their unused reusable pads. And when they would get to school, they don't have where to wash them from, they could have a company where they could, a department where they could put those used ones and could privately, conveniently, whatever them from home. So I put this in for some challenge that was up for UNFPA, and I won that challenge to develop the prototype. And we launched the prototype. And later, with the 55,000 we successfully helped 80%. There was still that other small percentage that was still staying out of school. And the issue was the first bags we made were absolutely of cloth. And Uganda being a rainy season, you've been to Mbarara.
Yes.
So when they walk quite a distance, the content in would get wet, yeah? So later on, we refined the prototype to make it a recycled smart bag. So to make it waterproof. And all this I'm doing with the girls here in the Girls with Tools, mostly the ones in the tailoring class. And we kept on defining and understanding our innovation, I would say. So later on, that also still worked out somehow. So now we're doing like a recycled smart bag. But later on, still, we noticed there was a small 5% of young women. If they would go to school later on, we noticed they would carry jerry cans within the bag. And when they would go back home, they would first pass by the well, get home, do housework, the fetched water and everything. And by the time they would get done with housework, it's dark. So they do not, and the candle is done, they don't have lighting to revise their books. So their fathers or their parents or guardians will still keep them out of school. And their argument would be that they've provided you everything, yeah, that's to stay in school, reasonable pads and everything, you're still behind schoolwork. And yet the issue was this girl at night maybe didn't get to revise her books, didn't get to read her books. So that's how we started adding a solar panel. So, but this is also comes with me sitting with my girls in electrical installation class that we train at the Girls with Tools. And like, how do I solve this problem? Then we decided to add now a solar panel on the bag that when the girls are walking to school, the panel is charging a detachable light that after when they come back home and they've done with everything, they're using this light to read their books, but also most importantly, to access their wash facilities. Sorry about the noise.
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
So see how the beauty of like now these, like as much as the Girls with Tools is really growing, just growing with partnerships, support, us being smart, it's really sitting around with the girls also to see how, with what we've done with the Girls with Tools, how we could innovate to try and keep now the girls. And we still keep on doing that. So that it's that particular program that attracted a lot of attention with partners like in South Africa that thought it viable for me to scale it in South Africa. So we've ended up registering in South Africa, and later we're also registering in Zimbabwe and Tanzania to have the impact of the smart bag, because we've proven it to show that it is helping keeping girls absolutely in school during their menstruation periods, and also lighting them by using green energy, recycling plastic waste, and giving employment to young women who are actually making the bag. So the fascination and around the innovation, and there's so many things it's helping, has led me to actually attract partners to get to scale in the different parts of Africa that I'm trying to do right now.
That is so incredible. And those are can I just look at the bags over there?
Oh yeah, let me show you.
Yeah,
let me get one.
Yeah, please. Would be great. That is
so this is the panel.
Yep, I see it.
So the panel, we make different design to also, for the sustainability of this, yes. With each bag we sell, we make another we give out for free. Oh, sorry, with each 5 bags we sell, we make another we give out for free. Wow. So, and we have companies that buy them in bulk as their CSR. Yes. So it has where the girls carry their books. So here they carry their books, yes. And this is the light it charges. So this is the bulb, so it lights up.
Wow.
So so when they're walking, they make sure we teach them that when they're going to school, they connect this. It has where they could connect with a wire.
Yes.
So if I remove this, you'll see it's lighting a little bit. I don't know if you can see, but it's lighting. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible! Wow.
Yeah, it has lighting. Yeah. So while they're walking, this is inside charging, and then they have this component inside here. This is where they put their reusable pads. Yes. And then inside we put the plastic where they can carry their used pads, and then each bag we add like a, what is it called? A wallet that has in a pads starter kit where it can help them make more of their reusable pads. So it comes with a pack of reusable pads. It comes with a kit that helps them make more of their reusable pads, and then a menstrual health management booklet. So the beauty is that now also parents are buying it for their boys, most of those who don't have access to power. So, and they know with each bag they make, they're contributing to others that we are giving out for free. Exactly. So it has led to being a smart bag for girls. Now it's a smart bag for everyone. And we're making another. There's one we are making, this one that has a normal person, you could buy it. And if you're traveling and you do not have time, it's going to have a charge portal so that you can connect your USB and you'll be able to charge your phone. So instead of even buying it for your child, you're buying it for yourself. And knowing it will help you carry maybe your laptop, your books, or anything. And you're giving back to another person you're helping in the rural areas. So that's how I build. That's how I build all my program. That's why it's so important to say I'm a social enterprise. I'm not a for profit. I'm really a social. I have sustainability, and I'm passionate in creating social good in whatever ways I need, mostly in economical empowerment and health.
Yes, that is powerful. I need one of those bags. I need one of those bags. That is a very great story, and I think, I mean, you're actually now in the this is a pure product, a business where you actually are they in retail stores, or is this like there's a point or so you buy it on the website, or just through the partners that?
Yeah, so that's where my scaling has been started. I want to get away from consumer to sales. I want to now take it more commercial. It's the one that I was telling you about that we are certifying. Yes. To make sure we have it in stores for its availability. Being approved by we are trademarking it, we are copying it, writing it, And that's why, you know, the Builders also program is coming in handy to make sure we have it possible. We are getting on all social media, on online platforms like Jumia. Online sales, so that they can be, people can, now we've created the demand. Before we hadn't created the demand, and we've come to now beautify them to reach every different clientele. Because I really don't want to depend on funds. I have companies that come and organizations that said, you know what, let's buy 5,000 bags and you give them out. But I like creating a trend and saying someone has bought something and I know it's helping them, but they know they're helping someone they do not know. Exactly. I want to create a trend of whereby you buy a product that knows is giving back to either the environment or is giving back to another person in need. Exactly. As much as I appreciate grants and everything, I want to create a culture in our community and the world that everybody has ownership in giving back to a social good.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. And I think that's more sustainable, right? Than just, you know, depending on just depending on grants, as you say. This is great. I mean, that's why you're Builders for Africa's Future, right? There's so much you have actually, and oh my gosh, I know this is hard. It is really hard. I know front facing on a podcast. It sounds like, you know, I'm sure there was a lot of iterations. There was a lot of back and forth. Maybe supply didn't come on time. Some sleepless nights, some frustrations. You know, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes. Right. So thank you for your work. I think this is for you to stick with it, to keep on fighting and to keep on building. It's really hard. People don't see a lot that happens behind.
It's I'm just too passionate. We're very, very passionate about the work that I do. And even when I have, as you say, sometimes stuff are really hard and you feel like giving up and you're like, you know what, I really need to close off. Then you get to our training center and the young people, they're looking at you and they're excited from the backgrounds they came on. They didn't have most of them are early school leavers and they thought they're bound to being in the slum areas and selling plastic bags on the roads, and they're here. They have a hope becoming an electro engineer, and then you're like, you know what? Let me keep on fighting. Let me make this work. Let me attract partners. Let me make it work. So I'm always marketing and to attract people, to attract support, but really to make sure I'm creating demand of the things that I'm doing so that I can keep on helping for those ones who can't. But it's not easy. It's just really keep on moving.
For sure. It shows that it's more than you, right? It's not just about you. It's a community.
That's true.
And that's what keeps it going. So I mean, along those lines, right? The last two questions is one: how do you want to inspire? What is the thing that makes you? Will you tell young entrepreneurs, especially young female entrepreneurs, or even young male entrepreneurs? Because I can also learn from you. What will you tell people like us and, you know, other people that are aspiring to build stuff, not just, you know, in Africa, but in Asia, Latin America? What are some of the, from your experience, what has been some of the learnings that you would love to share with us as we think about, for those who are interested in building businesses, but also those who are just trying to take the leap of faith to start something that has an impact in the community? If you don't mind sharing your wisdom, I know you can condense it in a few seconds.
What I really would advise is first, learning doesn't stop. I've come to notice that I'm always learning. Even when I think I know something, there's something new. I'm always learning from something, from someone or from a situation. And also don't be afraid to fail. And the thing that I've noticed with some people, even the people I've talked with, is if they have an idea in their head, it stays in their head, they get scared, like it needs all that. Start with what you have. And that's what I've learned. I've not told you a lot. I've done so many things and I've failed at them, but they've led to the results that I have right now. So don't be afraid to try and fail. That's part of the learning process. Because if you do not try at all, you will not know what you're trying to do. So if I tell you how many prototypes I built for the smart bag, even for the girls with tools, how many times I tried something with one person and they get done. So do not be afraid to try and fail, and keep on trying and ask why. Why is it failed? Why, and why? That's what I'm always asking myself. And it has helped me so much in whatever situation that I'm doing. And even if I'm falling down, I know, no, yeah, there must be a way I can do it different.
Exactly. No, those are very, 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 very insightful way of looking at things. And it resonates a lot with other entrepreneurs that have been on the pod, but also, people that have done some great stuff. Same story. But in their own perspective. One thing that I would love for you to ask and for us to close the podcast, what do you want your legacy to be like? I know you're still very young. You have a long time to do some great work in Uganda.
I got myself old. You know, we women, age is like a disaster. Oh my God, I wish I could stay 18. Yet like, it's like, no, you're not going to stay 18, my dear. So, but yes, I always think about my legacy. I'm so passionate. I'd want to be, if decades, I'm in the soil, decades, people are still remembering the fact that there was that person who innovated things that are helping women and girls all over Africa and the world. I don't want to stick in Uganda. I feel like I'm too huge to really help only Ugandans. I want to help the world. So that's why I'm really scaling, because I want to leave a legacy that says there's this one person who started innovations that until now have inspired change to keep women economically sustainable and have a healthy living, and really inspired the need of social good in every person. That it's so, the world has changed to be selfish, to only think about yourself. You may not help someone directly, but it may help them through something you're eating, through something you're dressing. So I really want to leave a legacy of social good is the way to go. So that even when you buy something, you know it is helping someone out there, that decades later, they're still talking about Jamila Mayanja.
Jamila, do you not surprised? You have already done it.
Yeah.
You have already.
I don't feel, okay, yeah, I've done something. I think I've started laying in the ground, but I'm still doing, like I'm telling you, that as long as I have life, I am not going to sleep until I have reached that legacy.
I think you are already on the path, and nothing's going to stop you. I see the passion, I see the drive, and with all the support that you have now, and the partners that you've built, the sky is not even your limit. So I'm excited for your. I'm happy that I got to meet you, because once you are getting really, once you get on all the news channels, I'll be like, I knew Jamila. I knew how much
Inshallah, from your lips to God's ears to make it happen.
But thank you. Thanks for sharing your story. Looking forward to being part of this journey and just seeing the great work you're doing. And I'd love to have you back as you continue to build their company.
Yeah, anytime you need me to come back, I'll be gladly joining. I'm traveling to South Africa next week to try and start with the launch of our Smart Girl South Africa. So anytime you really want for me to share anything, you just let me know. I'll be gladly to do so. Thank you for having me too.
For sure. And so this is Jamila Mayanja, CEO of Smart Girls Uganda, part of Builders for Africa's Future. And good luck with everything. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.